Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. So we have a new version, a new 0.0 version of Honkai Star Rail coming out. So that means we have a fresh new DPS unit and a updated tier list. Let's get straight into it. For this tier list, they have moved around some characters out of the specialist because they're treated more as main DPS characters like Till, Rappo, Firefly. Of course, they are going to be more DPS focused. Yes, they are a break specific DPS, but that doesn't mean anything. That's just their archetype. So they went from specialist to main DPS, which makes a bunch of sense. And of course, the Herta is in T0 of two different spots, which is fantastic. Of course, in Apocalyptic Shadow, where it's more of a break focus slash single target DPS check. Of course, she's going to drop to .25, 0.5. So it makes sense. She is an erudition unit, but she is also an emanator. So she is going to have the DPS, of course. That's just how it is. So unfortunately, the other emanator we have, Acheron, is still sitting pretty low, and that's just because she doesn't have the right support. Yes, she has the Fox Guy. Where is he at in this tier list? Does have Fox Guy, but he is just not good enough. Here he is, right here. Of course, he is just not good enough. He just provides some buffs. And a lot of people don't pull for him, don't like him, are biased towards him. Either way. That's really the only good support she has right now. It's just unfortunate. We need more dot support. Anyway, let's get looking straight at this. So, of course, for Memory of Chaos, we have the big three. We have Fei Xiao, we have Firefly, and we have the new The Herta taking up the T0 spot for DPS. The support DPS, of course, is going to be Topaz and Numby. That can help deal great follow-up damage. She is the #1 support right now for Fei Xiao just because the single target, they really mesh together really well. So that's why she's up there with the debuff, follow-up, and summon tag on her. Of course, Robin and Rune Mei, when are they never going to be top tier support? They are fantastic units. She works with just about everyone, not even just follow-up. So of course she's going to stay up there. And as well as Rune Mei, the break efficiency works for everyone, not just break units. Don't get it twisted. She also gives a general speed buff and res on her ultimate. And then we have the top tier sustains, which is going to be Adventurine and Lingsha. So everybody was hating on Lingsha when she first came out, saying she's not even that much better than Gallagher. When they find out, wow, she's basically another DPS if you build her with a good amount of break. She pairs well with Firefly, having that good mesh and connection. If you have Firefly and Lingsha, you can put the break set on her and give her a massive amount of break effect, have her break the entire team while having her break the entire team with some super break, and put Fugue in the mix. They are destroying. They can implant fire and have fire on all three of these, and even the ones you don't implant fire on, you'll have Fugue break them all with their colorless breaking ult. Top tier, the break team has never felt better. So what we're going to do here, we're going to go to T5. And like I said, we have Acheron here. And the reason I feel like she isn't in T0 with the Herta, obviously, there's the slight power creep of Herta being released slightly later than Acheron. Okay, I get it. But we also have to acknowledge that Acheron just doesn't have the kind of support that the Herta has. The Herta can take advantage of Sunday with the energy, the pull forward. She can take advantage of his whole kit. Unfortunately, Acheron doesn't work off of energy, so she can only take advantage of part of the kit. Now, that part of the kit is still strong. It's a huge damage to her crit, just a general damage buff with him bringing her up. But it just doesn't mesh well, because unless you have E2 Acheron, you still need 2 Nihility units on the team to make her work at full capacity. Now, if you do have E2, you have Acheron, and you just want the damage buff with the crit, and you don't care about the energy regeneration, of course you can throw Sunday in there. But not everybody's going to wail out and have E2 Acheron. Now, she's still a good unit at E0. But it's just compared to the Herta, who has a cleaner kind of setup, she only needs 1 Erudition unit. And then that leaves a spot open for a good support unit and a good sustain unit. Well, unfortunately, Acheron only gets a support unit. So that's how that is. We have Rappa and Boot Hill. Okay, they're going to be a little bit lower just because, unfortunately, Rappa doesn't have the implants like Firefly does. So Firefly can basically work on any team or any weakness. That's the one thing that she has above Rappa. Of course, if you use Fugue with her, you can kind of bypass it a little bit, but it is what it is. And then Boot Hill falls a little behind Firefly just because he's single target related. Granted, he does do massive amounts of damage. It's just, unfortunately, she can clear out multiple units at once while he can only do 1 at a time. And of course, we have Yun Li. What can I say? It's just a more powerful Clara. Has AoE, has a great ult, great counters, just a more powerful Clara. That's all she is. So the support DPS for the T.5, we have Jade, which obviously has been brought up in relevancy thanks to the Herta as one of her better supporting units. And of course, we have March 7th, the Hunt form, and we have Mose that work well with Fei Xiao. I am personally not a big fan of Mose, but he's relevant for how it is, just because of the connection with Fei Xiao. Now, amplifiers, of course, we have Zhao Kui. I think I'm saying his name right, which he's only relevant really because of Acheron. Now, Sunday, as we get more supporting summon DPS, I predict he's going to go to T0. Just because of not many people can get his full 70% amplify on his skill. So the people who can get it are going to be genuine. So, and I guess technically Topaz and Numby, but the main person is going to be genuine. He's still not a great unit. He is in T1 now, I suspect mainly because of Sunday. Because of Sunday, he is becoming great because you can move a Lightning Lord with him. But once we get some good units with some good summons, I predict he's going to be a T0 character for sure. And then I already explained Fugue, how she's amazing with the Lingsha Firefly combo. So the T.5 sustains is going to be Fu Xuan. I don't feel like she's ever not going to be relevant. She has great sustaining capabilities, dispersing the damage on the team and everything to that effect. Gallagher surprisingly standing on toe with Xuan and Ho-Oh. Now, I think she is very underrated. The attack buffs, the energy buffs, and as well as if you combined her with a Sunday team, that is a lot of energy you have going on. She can essentially, if you don't have his light cone, she can help him keep his ultimate up all the time. And if you have them both on the team, you can have someone, let's say you put them on the team with Dara. You can have those two, have Jade, and battery the living hell out of the Herta. And she'll have her ultimate up constantly. Because they both work off of percentage energy. Alright, now we're going to go down to the meta characters. We have Jinyuan, which I said is only really relevant because of Sunday. Nothing really to say, it's just he can bring up the Lightning Lord, so it's not a slug on the field. Now we have Kafka, which I feel like is always going to be a great DPS, just not the best. She'll become more relevant as we get more dot DPS or dot support put into the game, just like Acheron. And then we have the Debuffer Black Swan that works well with both Kafka and Acheron. All right, so the meta amplifiers. Bronya is always still going to be useful, as well as Sparkle. Once we get a quantum team going on it for a better quantum DPS, of course, she's going to become more relevant. And if it's a team that uses more skill points, always good. These two are always going to be good because they have 100% action forward on Bronya, 50% on Sparkle. But if you have a fast enough Sparkle, that doesn't really matter. Pella, always going to be good. The defense reduction she provides is great. So we also have the Harmony Trailblazer and the Remembrance Trailblazer. Those two, the buff that the Harmony Trailblazer provides is fantastic for break teams. How fast they can get the ultimate also synergizes really well with Dance Dance Dance. The more times you can get the ultimate, the more times you can bring up your team as a mini Robin ultimate. And then with the new Remembrance Trailblazer, the buffing applications they have, as well as the advanced forward they have, is really nice to have, as almost kind of like a pass ability that happens. And then Ting Yun, of course, is just Ting Yun. Great for energy, great for damage, fantastic unit. And then we have Locha. So I'm only going to look at the first 3 tiers on all of these just because I don't want the video to be too long. And of course, let's look at Pure Fiction, the AoE focused game mode. Wow, surprise, surprise, we have the Herta and T0 with regular Herta and Jade. The best supporting units for the Herta and Linksha, which is great with AoE sustain and damage. So we have 0.5 for Acheron, Argenti, Genuine, and Rappa. You know, all good units because they all have good AoE. No surprise there. And wow, surprise, surprise, the same amplifiers. It's almost like they are just good everywhere. He's going to be good because of Acheron. The rest of them are just good because they're good. And the same 3 sustains in the top 2 tiers. And then we have Himiko and Yun Li. I don't know if Yun Li should be in the same tier as Himiko because she has to rely on getting hit all the time, which can and cannot work. It really depends on how fast the enemy units are and how the buffs work in the game. And then we have Pella, Tinyun, and Remembered Trailblazer. Now, Remembered Trailblazer is put here because they have a great AoE ultimate, as well as the buffing capabilities and advanced forward, like I said earlier. And Schwann and Gallagher in the T1 tier for sustain. Now let's look at Apocalyptic Shadow. So of course we have the break teams. We have Boothill, we have Firefly, and we have Rappa. They are going to be great because Apocalyptic Shadow is really focused on breaking single target units. So they're going to stay up here for honestly the foreseeable future at this point because they are just such great units and we have such great support for them that it's going to be hard to take them out of relevancy. As well as Fei Xiao, who has amazing single target damage. I think one of the best at the moment for just pure raw single target damage and not just break related gimmicks. And we have Topaz as the best support DPS. WoW for Fei Xiao. So, and then we have the, what can I say? The basic duo of the top tier supports. Now, unfortunately, the Herta gets knocked out of the T0 category for this area just because she wants to focus on having multiple units. There's not many fights of multiple units. I think for the current Apocalyptic Shadow, there are a bunch of units, but they don't really synergize for her elements. So it's unfortunate. She's not going to pop off as much as she could. Now, when she has an Apocalyptic Shadow with a bunch of units and an ice element, you know, she's probably going to move back to T0. And we have Acheron at 0.5. I think she's fantastic for the Monkey Brigade. But that's just me because I feel like she makes it so easy with the ultimate buff that it's. So we have March and Mose for the Fei Xiao supports, and then we have the General 3. Now, Harmony Trailblazer here is really nice as a substitute / pairing with Fugue, just because the enemies that are weak to imaginary, the Trailblazer skill is really good at breaking enemies. So the more you like on the second half with the monkeys, the more you use a skill, the more you'll try and break the individual enemies so you can get the big break on the final boss. So I can understand E6, fantastic, and the 2 units that are great supports. And surprisingly, Gallagher's still up here. Now, the T1 supporting DPS is going to be Black Swan and Jade. And I almost feel like Himiko should be a little bit lower, because I don't feel like she's that great as a Apocalyptic Shadow DPS. Same thing with Yunli. I feel like those two should be a little bit lower. I can get behind Ratio. I can get behind Kafka being up in T1. I just don't feel like these two are up to par on the single target damage as well as Ratio and Kafka are. And then we have the Remembrance, the RMC, Pella, Bronya, and Sparkle here. Of course, we can't have them go too much lower. Unfortunately, everyone 1.5 and below on all 3 of these aren't super relevant unless those are the only units you have. And then we have Sustain, which is, I feel like Ho-Oh could go a little bit higher because of the battery for the great units. She can battery any of the break DPS. If you don't have Linksha, any of the break DPS, she can battery them. And Locha is a fantastic SP friendly unit. I unfortunately don't have the opportunity to use him too much because I have other sustainers, but he is a fantastic unit if you still have him. And Fu Xuan is always going to be a good unit, like I said earlier. So those are the updated ratings and rankings for the new characters in 3.0. So I get the feeling that I agree with most of these, except for the Apocalyptic Shadow one. But I think they did a pretty good job at the ratings and the rankings. I think they did great. And let me know what you guys think of in the comment section down below. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Have a good one. Peace.